We've got Bimal Jalan right here on ET Now. Thanks very much for being with us, sir. The first question really is, what are you making of the Bihar verdict? What will you attribute BJP's loss to? And is this a referendum on the Modi government?
You can't call it a referendum. In the sense that what we have Bihar, is that there was a Gathbandhan, and in our situation, when you have parties colliding and sort of coming together, that makes a difference. So, I do not attach that kind of an importance to this, that it's a referendum. What we have to concentrate as citizens more is that state is a state, center is a center, and what is the impact of these elections in the working of our parliament. Sorry to bring this new issue, as it were, is that you have the executive, at the center, and the executive has, the Prime Minister has the majority in Parliament, and Rajya Sabha, and then there is a center-state relationship. You have in the center-state relationship also, there is a Finance Commission report and all that, but of course, in terms of centrally sponsored schemes, it matters. But the election results per se should not matter if we take a larger view.
Is this a wake-up call for the Modi government?
Of course it is. But not as a government at the center. There are two different parts of it. One is the government at the center, and the second is the party. And you have to look at that this particular election, so far as central government is concerned, government part, I'm not talking about NDA part, and that whatever the government could do, it should be able to continue doing, and so far as the party is concerned, it has to reassess the whole campaign mechanism in states vis-a-vis at the center.
The fear that a lot of market participants, global and of course Indian investors seem to suggest at this stage is that these elections, in some sense, or the verdict in Bihar, will stall the reform process of the Modi government, is going to significantly dent the reform drive. Is that a concern you share as well?
Of course. This is the major issue. What is the impact? That's why I was raising this issue about Parliament. If you want to file a new law or pass it a new law, you need some kind of a unity between Rajya Sabha, which represents the states, and also the center. And as you can see, what happened in GST, what happened in land acquisition, and one has to ask this question, that if there is a greater, what you might say, cleavage between the opposition, and we have large number of opposition parties in Parliament, and then you have a very large majority party. Now, if there is no cooperation between the opposition and the ruling party, then I don't know where we will go. And it has a larger consequence from the investor sentiment also. So those are the more important issues. And it is not only whether which party wins and which party loses. It is the issue, also the impact in the working of Parliament. To my mind, that's very important. Having been involved as a nominated member there, I know that how the parties used to.
I'm glad you're at least conceding. That the parliamentary function is going to be impacted by this verdict. I have a very pragmatic question to ask of you. Should the government forget about pushing legislation in Parliament and instead put its energy behind expediting the executive decisions that can be made outside of Parliament? And if it were to do so, which ones should those be?
No. So far as the executing the decisions already made and the law and ease of doing business, etc., very high priorities, all that should be done. But in a democracy like ours, Parliament is also important. Not only in terms of what you might say passing new legislation. Now let us imagine if we don't pass any new legislation. This is the same India with the same legislation, a very large population, democracy, which grew at some period by 9%.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.